Music, and today I did go live an hour earlier at 9 a.m. because I wanted to actually do some errands and run out. So I hope it's all right. I'm going live an hour earlier, but anyways, I do have some great news today. We're going to be reading Think and Grow Rich as per usual, and today is chapter 12, and it's on the subconscious mind. And I was reading this chapter last night to get a sense of what it's going to look like today when I go live. And I just thought this chapter is beautifully written, just how it is. Napoleon Hill puts it perfectly on how to understand the subconscious mind. And I'm definitely really excited to read this chapter and just tell you guys what I think about it, get feedback from you guys. So I guess I'll start off with my story. My name is Michael Music. I started reading this book when I was 19 years old. This was after I started my first business. It was a painting business, and I started out in door-to-door selling. Um, and it was after I hit like a shaky point in my business that a lot of things started falling apart, and it was like a really big failure in that business. Um, I That it was like one of those moments where like you fail so bad at something that it actually triggers you to really start thinking. And then I picked up this book, Think and Grow Rich, because I was like, okay, like I just want to become successful. Everyone keeps recommending this book, and 3 years later, I was like, okay, I've read this too many times to myself. It's time to start reading it out loud. So that's why I decided to do this call and really dive deep into the depths of this book, because I had a mentor who studied this book for 60 years. Every single day he would read it, and I mean every single day. And there's got to be something special about this book if you're reading it every day for 60 years. Um, this book has created so many millionaires, more millionaires, I think, than any other book has ever created. And I'm going to dive in and see why. And today, with that being said, we are on chapter 12, The Subconscious Mind. It's on page 286. So, for those of you in Facebook watching this, I would recommend watching the replay on YouTube. I'll have it posted on my YouTube channel. It's just Michael Music. And what is it? For those of you watching on YouTube, I recommend that you join my Facebook group. It's called Think and Grow Rich with Michael Music. And I'll be studying this book next in there. Right now, I'm going live in the VIP chat for the Daily Awakening. So I would recommend you just join that, stay plugged in, because this is my first time reading it. This first time is more like a practice run. And as I keep going through this book, I'm going to end up having workbooks to go along with it that I want to be able to give you guys for free and really help you understand the depths of this book. So I'd really recommend you go to Think and Grow Rich with Michael Music, and make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can watch all the replays pretty easily with here. I do have a plugin suggestion for you. It's called YouTube Premium. You can say you're a student and actually get it half off. And I would just say I would do that, because then you can like listen to this while you're driving, or like exit the YouTube app, which is really nice to do if you really want to understand it. So I would recommend those things. But that's enough plugins for right now. I really want to get into this chapter 12, the subconscious mind, because this stuff is it's good. It's not any fluff. A lot of books that you will read have like a tiny bit of information you need, and then a bunch of stories and fluff to like make the book like thick. This book does have a lot of stories in it. However, this chapter is right to the point. There's really no stories to back up the subconscious mind. It's just like how could you do that? I would say it gets right to the point, and it's just 10 pages of pure gold. I think it's 10 pages. It's all right. I'm not sure, but okay, we're gonna read it. So page 286, chapter 12, the subconscious mind, the connecting link, the 11th step towards riches. The subconscious mind consists of a field of consciousness in which every impulse of thought that reaches the objective mind through any of the five senses is classified and recorded, and from which thoughts may be recalled or withdrawn as letters may be taken from a filing cabinet. It receives and files sense impressions or thoughts regardless of their nature. You may voluntarily plant in your subconscious mind any plan, thought, or purpose which you desire to translate into its physical or monetary equivalent. The subconscious mind acts first on the dominating desires which have been mixed with the emotional feeling such as faith. Keep in mind, the emotional feeling such as faith. So to me, that's faith is, I believe in the chapter on faith, we talked about the three strongest emotions. It was like faith, love, and sex. And when you mix faith with like a persistent desire that you have, that's what the subconscious mind will act on first. And we're going to touch more upon that as we dive deeper into the chapter. And notice that he says the subconscious mind consists of a field of consciousness. So what does that mean to you when he says that the subconscious mind consists of a field of consciousness in which every impulse of thought that reaches the objective mind through any of the five senses is classified and recorded, and from which thoughts may be recalled or withdrawn as letters may be taken from a filing cabinet? So that's pretty interesting how he relates it to a filing cabinet, the subconscious mind. Essentially, everything that really enters into your world is basically being stored and organized in this filing cabinet. So that's a great metaphor to look at the subconscious mind. And we're definitely going to get into some deeper depths soon. So continuing along, the subconscious mind acts first on the dominating desires which have been mixed with emotional feeling such as faith. Consider this in connection with the instructions given in the chapter on desire. For taking the 6 steps there outlined and the instructions given in the chapter on building and execution of plans. Okay, so he's saying check out desire. There's 6 steps in desire to go back to, as well as the chapter on building and execution of plans, which is organized planning. And you will understand the importance of the thought conveyed. The subconscious mind works day and night. Through a method of procedure unknown to man, the subconscious mind draws upon the forces of infinite intelligence for the power with which it voluntarily transmutes one's desires into their physical equivalent, making use always of the most practical media by which this end may be accomplished. So that's a powerful line. He says the subconscious mind draws upon the forces of infinite intelligence for the power with which it voluntarily transmutes one's desire into their physical equivalent, making use always of the most practical media by which this end may be accomplished. We're going to touch deeper on how the subconscious mind is the connecting link essentially to infinite intelligence. So you cannot entirely control your subconscious mind, but you can voluntarily hand over to it any plan, desire, or purpose which you wish transformed into concrete form. So you can't fully control your subconscious mind, but you can hand over it a plan, desire, or purpose which you wish to be transformed from thought into reality. Read again instructions for using the subconscious mind in the chapter on autosuggestion. Keep in mind how all these chapters are really connected with one another, and how he keeps referring throughout these chapters to go back to the other one. Like, listen, like these are the instructions for using your subconscious mind in this chapter. Like, I would seriously recommend following it. In this chapter, we're going to go more in depth on so you understand the subconscious mind. But there's some great instructions back in autosuggestion. So there's plenty of evidence to support the belief that the subconscious mind is the connecting link between the finite mind of man and infinite intelligence. It is the intermediary through which one may draw upon the forces of infinite intelligence at will. It alone contains the secret process by which mental impulses are modified and changed into their spiritual equivalent. It alone is the medium through which prayer may be transmitted to the source capable of answering prayer. So, what does that paragraph mean? He's saying the subconscious mind is the connecting link between the finite mind of man and infinite intelligence. Now, that's a very bold, interesting statement. It's literally the connecting link between you and God, essentially, the subconscious mind. And like, how can you imagine that? What would that possibly mean? So you can through the subconscious mind. This is the intermediary through which one may draw upon the forces of infinite intelligence at will. It alone contains the secret process by which mental impulses are modified and changed into their spiritual equivalent. So the subconscious mind contains a secret process by which mental impulses are modified and changed into their spiritual equivalent. It alone is the medium through which prayer may be transmitted to the source capable of answering prayer. So he's saying what is he saying by it's a medium? What is the definition of a medium? It's like a vehicle almost. So you have when you have thoughts, I guess, buried in your subconscious mind, he's saying prayer may be transmitted to the source capable of answering prayer. So what is the source that is capable of answering prayer? That would be infinite intelligence. And the subconscious mind is the medium which sends your prayers to infinite intelligence. The possibilities of creative effort connected with the subconscious mind are stupendous and imponderable. They inspire one with awe. I never approached the discussion of the subconscious mind without a feeling of littleness and inferiority, due perhaps to the fact that man's entire stock of knowledge on the subject is so pitifully limited. The very fact that the subconscious mind is the medium of communication between the thinking mind of man and infinite intelligence is, of itself, a thought which almost paralyzes one's reason. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that statement. Just given the fact that the author is saying that the subconscious mind is the medium of communication between you and infinite intelligence, that is that's not too easy to swallow that pill because it's such a bold statement, I guess. Yeah, let me know what you guys think about that sentence. If you I don't know if you talk to infinite intelligence yourself, and do you use like how could you use your subconscious mind to talk to infinite intelligence? I guess would be a good question to ask. After you have accepted as a reality the existence of the subconscious mind and understand its possibilities as a medium for transmuting your desires into their physical or monetary equivalent, you will comprehend the full significance of the instructions given in the chapter on desire. You will also understand why you have been repeatedly admonished to make your desires clear, to reduce them to writing, and to reduce them to writing. You will also understand the necessity of persistence in carrying out the instructions. The 13 principles are the stimuli with which you acquire the ability to reach and to influence your subconscious mind. So, what does that mean? The 13 principles are the stimuli. It means each one of these 13 chapters each play a different role as a different role in stimulating your mind to this level of thought, which allows you to reach and influence your subconscious mind. Do not become discouraged if you cannot do this upon the first attempt. Remember that the subconscious mind may be voluntarily directed only through habit, under the directions given in the chapter of faith. Okay, so remember that the subconscious mind may be voluntarily directed only through habit under the directions given in the chapter on faith. You have not had time yet to master faith. Be patient and be persistent. So, what I'm getting from this is that essentially, when you have something really fixed in your subconscious mind and it has been fixed there through years and years of programming or just like repetition, it does become a habit. That's what I notice. A lot of your habits are through the subconscious mind and you don't even realize them essentially. And if you really want to direct it voluntarily, your subconscious mind, you want to follow the directions given in the chapter on faith, which I believe is going back to either chapter 2 or chapter 3, depending on how your book is set up. I think for me it's chapter 3, but it's the second step towards riches. So there's instructions going back to the chapter on faith, um, that you want to follow to really influence your subconscious mind as well voluntarily. A good many statements in the chapter on faith and auto suggestion will be repeated here for the benefit of your subconscious mind. Remember, your subconscious mind functions voluntarily whether you make any effort to influence it or not. This naturally suggests to you that thoughts of fear and poverty and all negative thoughts serve as a stimuli to your subconscious mind unless you master these impulses and give it more desirable food upon which it may feed. Okay, so it's saying that whether you decide right now, after watching this video, if you decide right now to influence your subconscious mind, or if you don't decide at all that you want to voluntarily influence your subconscious mind, it doesn't matter. It's still gonna get influenced. And what he's saying is it's either up to you to decide, do you want thoughts of fear and poverty to enter your subconscious and all the other negative thoughts, because they also are different stimuli for your subconscious mind, except of course they're negative stimuli and that doesn't really help you. Or do you want to master these 13 principles and feed your subconscious mind with positive stimuli? So that's up to you to decide. I'm pretty confident you would choose the positive. So we're gonna keep reading and go through, I guess, later on in the chapter, the positive emotions and the negative emotions. But furthermore, the subconscious mind will not remain idle. If you fail to plant desires in your subconscious mind, it will feed upon the thoughts which reach it as a result of your neglect. We have already explained that thought impulses, both negative and positive, are reaching the subconscious mind continuously from the four sources which were mentioned in the chapter on sex transmutation. Let's see if we can pull up those four sources real quick. Okay, so Napoleon Hill says, we have already explained that thought impulses, both negative and positive, are reaching the subconscious mind continuously from the four sources which were mentioned in the chapter on sex transmutation. And then going back to page 260, back to the chapter we just read yesterday and the day before on sex transmutation, the four sources. So Napoleon Hill says on page 260, when ideas or concepts flash into one's mind through what is popularly called a hunch, they come from one or more of the following sources. 1. Infinite intelligence. 2. One's subconscious mind, wherein is stored every sense impression and thought impulse which ever reached the brain through any of the five senses. 3. From the mind of some other person who has just released the thought or picture of the idea or concept through conscious thought. Or 4. From the other person's subconscious storehouse. So those are the four sources Napoleon Hill mentioned. And yeah, we're gonna. So he says, we have already explained that thought impulses, both negative and positive, are reaching the subconscious mind continuously from these four sources. For the present, it is sufficient if you remember that you are living daily in the midst of all manner of thought. So we're back on page 289. For the present, it is sufficient if you remember that you are living daily in the midst of all manner of thought impulses which are reaching your subconscious mind without your knowledge. Some of these impulses are negative, some are positive. You are now engaged in trying to shut off the flow of negative impulses and to aid in voluntarily influencing your subconscious mind through positive impulses of desire. He's saying you want to now shut off all the negative impulses and aid in voluntarily influencing your subconscious mind through positive impulses of desire. When you achieve this, you will possess the key which unlocks the door to your subconscious mind. The key which unlocks the door to your subconscious mind. Moreover, you will control that door so completely that no undesirable thought may influence your subconscious mind. That's cool. That's cool to know. He's saying, Napoleon Hill is saying that you will eventually, mastering this book, be able to control the door that does not, and you will not allow a single undesirable thought to influence your subconscious mind. Everything which man creates begins in the form of thought impulse. Man can create nothing which he does not first conceive in thought. Through the aid of the imagination, thought impulses may be assembled into plans. The imagination, when under control, may be used for the creation of plans or purposes that lead to success in one's chosen occupation. So, going furthermore in these principles, notice how we've already mentioned autosuggestion and faith and desire. There's instructions on all three of those. And he even brought in organized planning and imagination to create those plannings or to create those plans. He says the imagination, when under control, may be used for the creation of plans or purposes that lead to success in one's chosen occupation. All thought impulses intended for transmutation into their physical equivalent, voluntarily planted in the subconscious mind, must pass through the imagination and be mixed with faith. The mixing of faith with a plan or purpose intended for submission to the subconscious mind may be done only through the imagination. He said the mixing of faith with a plan or purpose intended for submission to the subconscious mind may be done only through the imagination. That's interesting. I don't really know what to say to that. I want to know what you guys think about that. Mixing faith with a plan and the two tied together through the imaginative faculty. From these statements, you will readily observe that voluntary use of the subconscious mind calls for coordination and application of all of the principles. Eller Wheeler Wilcox gave evidence of her understanding of the power of the subconscious mind when she wrote, you never can tell what a thought will do in bringing you hate or love, for thoughts are things, and their airy wings are swifter than carrier doves. They follow the law of the universe. Each thing creates its kind, and they speed away the track to bring you back whatever went out from your mind. Miss Wilcox understood the truth that thoughts which go out from one's mind also embed themselves deeply in one's subconscious mind, where they serve as a magnet, pattern, or blueprint by which the subconscious mind is influenced while translating them into their physical equivalent. Thoughts are truly things for the reason that every material thing begins in the form of thought energy. Okay, so what was just said there? Napoleon Hill said that any thought that goes out from your mind will likewise embed itself equally into your subconscious mind. So be careful what you're really projecting out, because that is going right back into your subconscious mind. And I notice a lot of people they'll say these, like they'll spit this like words of violence and like venom almost, and they're trying to like hurt the other person. But just as much as they're hurting the other person, it is literally going right, embedding itself, those words that they just said, into their own subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is more susceptible to influence by impulses of thought mixed with feeling or emotion than by those originating solely in the reasoning portion of the mind. In fact, there is much evidence to support the theory that only emotionalized thoughts have any action influence upon the subconscious mind. It is a well known fact that emotion or feeling rules the majority of people. If it is true that the subconscious mind responds more quickly to and is influenced more readily by thought impulses, which are well mixed with emotion, it is essential to become familiar with the more important of the emotions. There are seven major positive emotions and seven major negative emotions. The negatives voluntarily inject themselves into the thought impulses which ensure passage into the subconscious mind. The positives must be injected through the principle of autosuggestion into the thought impulses which an individual wishes to pass on to his subconscious mind. Instructions have been given in the chapter on autosuggestion. Okay, this is an interesting statement. Napoleon Hill said that negative impulses will voluntarily inject themselves into the thought impulses which ensure the passage into the subconscious mind. Let me repeat that. I think I messed up the word in. He said the negatives voluntarily inject themselves into the thought impulses, which ensure passage into the subconscious mind. So, negative thought impulses can slip into your subconscious mind much faster than positive thought impulses can. And he says that the positives must be injected through the principle of autosuggestion into the thought impulses which an individual wishes to pass on to his subconscious mind. So go back to the chapter on autosuggestion and really seriously study that chapter because you can't it's not like these positive thoughts will naturally go into your subconscious mind. I feel like a lot of us have been primed to have these negatives thought impulses just fire off rapidly and they go right away into the subconscious unless you really like have developed your walls around your mind like almost like an invisible band basically. And he's saying that the positives must be injected through the auto suggestion. Okay. These emotions or feeling impulses may be likened to yeast in a loaf of bread because they constitute the action element which transforms thought impulses from the passive to the active state. Thus, may one understand why thought impulses, which have been well mixed with emotion, are acted upon more readily than thought impulses originating in cold reason. All right, I'm gonna pause right there. We don't have many pages left, but I want to keep it short and sweet so that tomorrow we can go over the rest of this chapter. And we're going to talk next about the seven major positive emotions and the seven major negative emotions, which you want to avoid. So we're ending on 292 if you are following along. Yeah, interesting stuff with the subconscious mind. So I want to ask you, what did you learn and what did you like about this chapter? What stuck out to you that because you may have heard about the subconscious mind before, or maybe you haven't. And how did you feel about relating the subconscious mind to a filing cabinet through which every one of your through your senses, everything that you picked up through your senses gets kind of filed away into the subconscious mind. So it's all there. Every experience that you've had is all there. What do you think about that in that metaphor? And what else? Yeah, so those are some good questions to bring up. Personally, my favorite thing about this chapter was finding out that the subconscious mind is the connecting link essentially between you and God, or whatever you call God. Like in this book, we're calling it infinite intelligence. So we're saying that the subconscious mind is the connecting link between the two. And that's a pretty powerful statement because now you kind of have like a direct line of communication to him. And it's interesting. I don't want to touch upon praying yet, but a lot of people will go into a prayer or they'll just get on their hands and knees, or they'll get on their knees, put their hands together, and they'll be in this state of fear, because usually a lot of people pray after something terrible has happened to them. And so they like go to pray and they're in this state of fear and they're just zapping away all this fear to infinite intelligence, because that's like the state of mind that they're in. And they expect like all this good to come, but what's going to come is just what they're sending out. Like, Newton's third law, every force, like every time you push against something, it pushes back equal and opposite in the opposite direction. So you're not going to get good stuff out when you're in a state of fear praying. And I had one mentor in one of his books say that getting on your knees and like being like, God, like I need help with this, like you're not doing anything, you're just making noise on your knees. So I apologize if that came off bad in any sense to anyone. But we're going to discuss more about the medium of the subconscious mind. That's really the medium on which you communicate to God. And something I learned from this book, I'll tell you ahead of time, is when we get into the sixth sense, which is also the same thing as creative imagination, that's how you receive back your messages from God. So that's pretty interesting stuff to really think about, because now we're talking about communicating to infinite intelligence, and you have two mediums on how to send out your thoughts and what you want to convey to them, to the big man upstairs, and how you can receive them. So that's some pretty interesting stuff to think about. Yeah, I guess that's it really. That's going to conclude part 1 of chapter 12, the subconscious mind, the medium of communication to infinite intelligence. And we're going to pick back up, finish off this chapter tomorrow and continue discussing the subconscious mind. This stuff gets pretty deep. And it's interesting because no one has ever seen the subconscious mind. It's not like it's like a tangible thing. It's like I could be making this all up right now for everyone, for what it's worth, but I'm really not. I'm reading this from the book. I've been studying this for some time now. I believe in this stuff, so I don't feel too crazy to share this with you guys. Yeah, that is that. So yeah, drop down a comment of what you learned, what you like in this book, and what are you going to do about it? There's nothing really you can do yet, I guess, with the subconscious mind. You just become maybe aware of what enters your subconscious mind and really put up like your guard. Like I have to have like an imaginary band sometimes, because there's like a lot of negative people around me trying to really influence me in this way, that when they think they're helping, but really they're not. And so I have to put my guard up against them, even though I love them, because I can't let them get into my subconscious mind. So those are my final thoughts on this chapter. I want to say thank you guys for watching. We'll continue again tomorrow, and I'll see you soon. All right. So with that being said, my concluding thoughts are, until we meet again, fellas and ladies, in time and space, who knows? Maybe you're watching this and I actually passed away. Lord knows. But anyways, yeah, that's that. My name is Michael Music. You can find me on YouTube. Subscribe. It's Michael Music. And join me in my Facebook group called Think and Grow Rich with Michael Music. All right. So until we meet again in time and space. Bye for now.